Alright, I am as ready as I will ever be for this fucking chest day. And in a good way. You know, I'm not, I don't even know why I said it like that. I do feel good about this chest day. The sun's shining. It's a little cold, but it's not too cold. It's 45 out this morning, so just a good little, not a smack in the face, but just a little bit of a wake-up call. And I've been liking the morning lift. You know, 7:30 out the door. But I think I want to go even crazier. I think I want to be pulling like a 5er and then coming, like, this is, if you've never done this before, it's a really good feeling. Coming back from the gym, you've already finished a really crazy lift and the sun is rising. So you finished your whole pump before the sun even came up. And it's just, I don't know, just the visualization is kind of cool, because it's like, you know, the sun rises on a new, that'd be dawn, a full-on new dawn, badass chest pump, the sun's coming up, just getting hit with those orange rays as the freaking light refracts, you know, not the same as a regular, like, high in the sky kind of feeling. Yeah, that's cool. But a late lift is also cool. It's been a while since I busted out a 1 a.m. chest day or a midnight chest day. And I think I'm going to have to do a few late ones just to... I don't know. Because what I used to do, dieting, bulking, everything, was eat all my food for the day, nearly. All right, it's 9 o'clock. Just had my last meal at like 8. All right, let's chill for a second, hit the gym at 10, you know, or something like that. So the only big difference was, well, you know, then I'm actually really fully fed instead of coming in and doing a little bit of a lighter stomach kind of fueled lift. But after this whole prep, I kind of, you know, I've heard guys say this, where it's, oh, dude, you should never work out right in the morning. You just starved yourself all night. But I don't know, man. I feel like you're still fresh in the morning. So I used to be a hardcore, no holds, just very strict with the idea that I didn't want to work out right in the morning. I wanted to eat at least 5 solid meals before hitting the lift. But now I'm a little more open. You know, if I gotta hit a lift at like 6, you know, morning or evening, I'm kind of cool with it. You know, as long as it sort of fits in the schedule. So I don't know if that's just me becoming less picky, or maybe it's not something that even requires that much, that much of a methodical sort of approach. Because at the end of the day, I mean, no matter what you're doing, bulking, cutting, maintaining, even if you're not training for size, if whatever you're training for, which is, I'll get into that in a second, we've all pretty much got the same 3 boxes to fill. You know, obviously you got to make sure your whole life is, you know, moving in a certain way so that you can accommodate having some free time and, you know, being able to do all the shit you want to do. But did you sleep well? Did you put the right amount of things into your body, aka the right amount of fluids, the right amount of food, in the right order? You know, maybe you don't have like 200 grams of sugar and fats first thing in the morning. You basically just jump started to 1,500 calories. And did you train? You know? And I've been thinking about that for a little while, and I don't, like, it sounds weird to say. Like, I could definitely understand how people who aren't into anything kind of like baseline athletic, and the gym, you know, there's an athletic angle, not in the same sense as like a runner or like a multifunctional athlete, but it's a little bit of an athletic endeavor. You know, you're actually moving around. I don't know. Now that I say it, just saying that out loud, maybe it's not the most athletic endeavor, but it's a physical endeavor, you know. So whether your thing is you're a long distance runner, you're a functional guy, you're kind of aiming for like max number burpees in 1 hour, you're a high rocks kind of guy, you know, you want to freaking move. You also want to be able to squat 315, but you want to be able to move as well. it's like I almost can't even imagine not having some kind of physical outlet, if not daily, near daily. I was I was talking to one of the guys at the gym I guess last week when we were over in Vegas, and it's like, what do you do? What do you do if you aren't doing something? And it doesn't have to be the gym. I'm not saying everybody has to be, pumping iron on the regular, but it's like you just, I don't know. You gotta have something. That's freaking for sure. That's straight out of Joey Diaz. At least my version of that statement is you gotta have something physical. It doesn't matter necessarily exactly what it is, as long as it's something. But for this chest day, heft-wise, I guess I've got to see how I feel. I've got to see how things kind of play out. Because I don't want to completely rip my pecs off by trying to go too heavy too soon. But that's easy enough not to do. I kind of have a good feel for whether a certain amount of weight is starting to be too much. There are signs. Sometimes you get hit with an injury just completely out of left field. You were not ready. It just happened. I know a guy freaking super strong. His name's Aaron, and he got a freaking chest tear doing 185. This guy can bench more than 185. So I think if he knew he felt something off, he probably would have stopped. So sometimes it just kind of hits you. But if you can prevent it, let's say you're warming up on the cables and you feel a little bit of a twinge or a little something, or maybe you kind of had like a pull last week and now you're coming back. Keep that shit in mind, because any kind of damage like that is no fun to come back from. And I've done it enough times where it's, I guess you kind of learn your lesson. So, yeah, that'll be the plan there. So I doubt it'll take more than 45 minutes from set number 1 to the last one. Probably 8-ish. Maybe 9, maybe 7. As long as the last set I can tell I really got everything out of my chest that I needed to in order to actually, fully stimulate it and pump it up. Well, that'll be good. And I get a couple questions about that, where it's just kind of trying to highlight the Sam logic of like what's going through my brain if I jump onto an incline Smith and say, okay, I just did one set, let's do one more and then move on. What's the difference between that and then, thinking, all right, let's do 20 more or 5 more or no more, and just going onto the machine and saying, don't really love that, let's get out of here. And it's I guess it's kind of hard to quantify. I said this last time I tried to get into it, but it's kind of just knowing what is going to feel good, so and by good I mean productive. Not good as in just like, ooh, this set feels pretty good, like it's a light squeezing set of like nothing, So after lifting for so long, I've got a basic gist of like, being able to look back, I guess you could kind of say muscle memory in a way, and think, okay, every time I've done incline Smith and on the lifts where I had a really good lift and I got a really good pump and everything felt really good, you kind of just get a sense for how a movement feels in the moment. So if I get an incline Smith today, which is kind of what I'm initially planning on doing, I might not. Maybe it's taken and I gotta move on and do something else. But assuming that's what I do first, then I'll warm up 1 plate, 2 plates, 3 plates, maybe a quarter. We'll see what happens. But as I'm warming up, I'll get a feel like, okay, how's this feeling? All right, we're good. Move on to a heavy set, and as long as a feeler rep of my working weight feels solid, well, then I'll get myself amped up and really hit it. But if after that first set I can tell, I don't know, maybe it just something wasn't flowing right, it just didn't really feel, well, then I'm gonna think, all right, you know what? Good set. Like that first set was still good. It's not a wasted set or anything. But I think it'd be better off if I move on to something else. If I move on to a hammer strength press or a cable thing or, just something. Because the last thing I want to do is do a set where at the end of it, I feel anything other than, oh, yeah, that was a good one. So if I don't get that reaction at the end of a set, I'm going to say, I want to change something. Maybe go a little heavier. Sometimes you underestimate your strength and you do a higher rep set than you intended to. or just completely jump movements altogether, move on to move on to anything else, be it a fly, squeezing, burning kind of movement, heavy dips. It's just go through your go through your rotisserie, go through your repertoire of movements and think, what would feel good right now? Do I think it would feel good to hit some pec deck, or do I think it would feel good to hit some converging cable press? Things like that. And just by trying different stuff, you're going to get better at picking the good stuff, So you're kind of like your own, and this is such a weird reference to as this analogy, but I guess it's kind of, it's pretty accurate. It's like you're your own, it's the dumbest shit in the world to say you're your own artificial intelligence large language model. You can use your own brain, let's put it that way, and think, okay, I know that this has felt good in the past, and I know that when this feels exactly like this, then it just doesn't turn out as good. All right, so I'm going to use that information and make some adjustments, something along those lines. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Mostly I'm going to use my brain just to get myself amped up, but on the sets where I think, let's change it up, let's do a little something else, I'll do that as well, and then try not to think too much about it, because if you're sitting in between movements for 10 minutes trying to figure out what the best what the best machine is to move on to next, well, shit, anything pushing like 6 minutes between working sets, you're risking losing your pump. Nobody wants that. You got to keep up that momentum. So just something to keep in mind, something to freaking keep in mind. But I think nothing else to say. Let's just get in there and get started. Okay, one more 3 plates. Oh, shit. Ooh. All right. Ooh. Yeah, 2's good there. Let's move on. Let's do some cable press. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Ooh. Let's move on. All right, that felt okay. I don't want to do another one though. Let's do something else. Basically the same as that cable press earlier, but instead of pressing in, more like pressing down. Yeah. Okay. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Nearly done. All right, last one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Ooh. All right. Let's pose down. All right. Not the best lighting in this space, but it's not bad. It's not bad. A little coming in from the side. And overall, that's a pretty good chest day. Some heavy Smith. Oh. But honestly, I think that machine is cheating because the 3 plates that I just did last chest day in my gym with that Arsenal Smith felt pretty similar to that 3 plates in a 25 today. So what that tells me is I might be getting the full weight on my Smith, and then some machines are kind of cheating. There's this one, ooh, if it's not a Nautilus, it's like an Atlantis Smith. It's up in this gym in Petoskey. That Smith machine has got to be the lightest one that I've ever used. I mean, right now, that set of 3 and a 25 probably could have been 4 for 10 on that other Smith. So, you know, keep that in mind. Next time somebody hits a Smith PR, is that Smith machine helping? And if it is, how much? But now let's see how we're looking. Oh my gosh. Nah, this is solid. I haven't felt this full for, well, quite a while. Like even just sitting here, I feel like this just kind of standing shot is fucking nuts. Let me actually really get a good breath hold here. Oh man, yeah. Not so insane heft-wise. Last chest day was like heavy Smith, heavy machine press, heavy cable press, and then some sort of fly, I think. So this one started with a heavy press, but kind of eased up with more volume, squeezing, burning stuff. So very different from my last chest day. Very pumped as well. So as long as those two boxes I can check off, that's a good lift. But let's back up and roll. Yeah, there we go. That was a good one. That was good. I'm leaving the gym feeling really, I don't know, feeling fresh. I slept really well last night, and I think a sign of that was I was having this crazy dream. It was, I mean, I guess the premise is like a little nightmarish, because I was, if you've ever seen The Amazing Digital Circus, it was a little bit like that. I was like in this maze. I don't know, I couldn't freaking figure it out. But I didn't wake up in a cold sweat or anything, just kind of a funky dream. So I think I was deep in REM, which is a good thing, a very good thing, especially after hamstrings, because they're cooked right now. But yeah, oh man, exactly as prescribed. Good night's rest, drink a crap ton of water, eat my food. That one's kind of easy, everybody's gonna eat a certain amount of food, but eat the right amount of food, not too much, not too little, I was about to say Goldie Bear, that's not the right word. Well, you get what I'm saying. So even though I did not feel flashy in the moment, right, you don't feel like a legend going to bed early and just yeah, no, that was good. That was a no playing on my phone pre-bed. That was plug it in, set it down on the nightstand, and pass out kind of night. I should be doing that more. I had a really good routine. Actually, this is kind of a crazy routine. This is I think 3 summers ago. No, maybe 4 summers ago. Yeah, I don't know, 2023. I don't know, something. But me and Mark were working for the city. We were painting crosswalks. So for a while, my day looked exactly like this. Wake up at 5. Nah, I was waking up fucking early. I think I was doing wake up at 4. Yeah, I remember. Because every time I'd go to the same Planet Fitness, the person checking me in would see that I was just there at 5 in the freaking morning. But I'd get up super early, 4 o'clock, put my clothes on, Planet Fitness, cardio, come back, shower, change into my high vis with my jeans and the boots. 6 o'clock to 2 was the shift, and then I would pack my duffel with all my gym clothes because I would head straight to Planet Fitness after work was over. Bring some spare deodorant, no shower in between. I don't think I was never stinking that bad, but in the summer it was freaking hot, so we'd be sweating. Finish the workout, and I was going to bed at 7 o'clock. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I don't know. It's good waking up early, but it's also cool staying up late. So it's fuck, man, you gotta keep a good balance. But that was a super locked in time, at least in terms of a really good REM schedule. It keeps getting thrown off because I'm traveling around a bunch the last couple weeks, but we'll get into a good groove. This summer is there's going to be some size gains, and that's not a freaking exaggeration. Size gains, hype gains. I don't know. Do you feel like? I feel like right now is a kind of a low time period. I'm getting really annoyed every time I look at my phone, because a lot of the standard kind of videos and YouTuber guys I used to watch, I don't know, I just can't get into it. TikTok is getting kind of gross with all the because all of social media is kind of approaching a singularity, so every platform knows short form swiping awesome. Rage bait, awesome. Rage bait equals engagement, and then it's either like half rage bait and half like extreme politics, some of which is just also rage bait for the sake of more engagement. Like, it's just fucking nuts, you know. So I get a little bit of relief watching a show, or really getting into a show instead of just scrolling. I just finished Succession. I don't think Succession is underrated. I think it's underspoken about. I would put Succession up there with Breaking Bad and The Sopranos, honestly. Like, it's different, but the overall kind of like storyline and interest and like drama and everything, yeah, you got to check it out. Succession. You know what's really weird is I feel like I'm just another part of the fucking hive mind, because every so often, I feel like certain clips from certain shows start getting reposted in short form. So I'll see a bunch of clips of like The Sopranos on TikTok, or of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, and then it's like a wave of getting people back into a show. So if a bunch of clips of Succession start showing up on your phone in the next couple of days, who knows? Maybe me referencing it had some kind of butterfly effect. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's pretty sure it's just on Prime. And that's the dumbest shit too. There's like, there's Prime, there's Peacock, there's Netflix, there's HBO Max. There's like literally straight out of a South Park episode with how many random freaking things there are. But there is one constant. There's one constant which never changes, and that's getting a gnarly ass pump, and that's good. That's a way to keep yourself grounded, I feel. So yeah, that definitely felt like a 245 pound lift, and that was a real empty stomach 245. Sometimes I'll wake up and I can, there's still food moving around through my stomach if I ate a lot of food like right before bed, and that will kind of like cheat your weight, like the first time I ever stepped on the scale and I was above 200 pounds, it was like after a Christmas dinner, and I just drank like a fucking insane amount of water. I think I probably took a picture of it. Maybe it's in my phone somewhere. This would be like, I don't even know how, like a 2020 Christmas, or maybe it's 2020, maybe it's 2019. I don't know. It'd be a little while ago. But yeah, so waking up with a real empty stomach with a 245, that's solid. That is solid. And I don't want to get much softer. I want to kind of make sure I don't, I guess a good way to say it is make sure I don't over bulk. That's a good description, So that's something I haven't minded as much prior. Like I've gotten, even go back to this last summer, like July, maybe more like June, probably more like June-ish, April, May, June. That was when I was definitely on the bulkier side of things. So obviously all the cardio I did in prep, kind of got me back to a lean baseline. But yeah, I think the more progress that I make size-wise, the less necessary it is to make any drastic changes over the course of, each gaining phase. Plus, every time I cut down to a leaner state than I ever have before, especially with this last prep for these two shows. So now, for one, it just gets easier to get that lean every time. But I feel like it's easier for me to hold on to size without putting on so much body fat, every time. So I guess I'm more concerned with making sure that my lifts go up, because that then translates into giving me more intense sets. And as long as I eat and recover, even over recover from those sets with all the food and, sleep that I'm getting, then I should wake up the next day just a teensy bit bigger than before. So I ought to plot it so I can see how the graph has been looking. But let's say I'm gaining a pound a week-ish, something along those lines. That would put me at about, half ounce of, 3/4 ounce of muscle a day. So just a little morsel, just like one little bite of, that's one little bite of like freaking sashimi, depending on what sushi place you go to. I'm very, that's kind of something I haven't brought up too much, but there's a couple sushi places around me. One's a little further, but that one's the best because they hook me up. Like if I do a pickup order over there, they're giving me like, I couldn't tell you exactly how much, but No, they know how to do it. So I'm coming home with like a pound of, like a half pound of tuna and a half pound of salmon. Ooh. Just me saying that makes me think that I'd want to get it today, but I don't have any time. Because I'm getting home, showering, editing this thing together, and then I am off to the airport. So this will actually, I mean, yeah, shit, by the time I post this, I guess I'll actually be there, because we're headed over to Colorado Discount Nutrition and get a bit of a meet and greet tomorrow. That's going to be fun. Assuming it's anything like the Vegas Discount Nutrition that we just did last weekend, it'll be pretty cool. It was kind of a good turnout. Not even kind of. It was a good turnout. It was kind of like a sidewalk parking lot freaking takeover. But I don't know what. I gotta look. I don't know how cold it's gonna be. If it's like 50, I'm good, because I'll just wear my regular clothes. But if it's gonna be a little colder, I might have to pack a little bit warmer. But I'm like, this is kind of more of a me problem. But the bigger you get, you start to get very sensitive to temperature fluctuations. So, if I'm unless I'm wearing like, a really baggy conditioning club shirt like this or shorts, and I'm somewhere where it's like 75-ish, maybe 75 inside for sure, you just start freaking sweating. It definitely turns into a thing. At least that kind of sweat doesn't really, you're not walking around stinking as much when it's just like a temperature sweat as much as you would be from like a workout, but it's still kind of annoying. So it's like, I know I might want to bring a hoodie, but then I'm going to have to take it off and carry it around with me. So what do? Just walk around kind of on the colder side of things. That's a good argument for an off season over the winter time and being like extra cut up during the summer, purely, for the sake of kind of the hibernating warmth effect of having some extra body fat during the cooler months. Now, if you're anywhere where it's just hot all freaking year long, like a Texas or would that be like a South Carolina? South California? Is it hot all over the place on the bottom? I know you can ski on the north side and you can like snowboard and stuff, so it gets a little bit colder up there. But yeah, I guess if you're somewhere a little bit more southbound, you don't even have to worry about it. You're probably just used to the temperature at that point. But yeah, nothing else to say there. That was a badass lift, and we are getting ever closer to an 1/8 ton. Would it be an 1/8 ton? 1,000. What's a ton? A ton is 1,000 kilograms, right? So that's 2,200 pounds. So I guess more like a 1/9 ton, or maybe am I a 1/9 ton right now? 245. Okay, I can't. That math is a little bit too tricky to just do in my head. But yeah, getting a little heftier, and I'm starting to notice. I'm getting pickier with the shirts I wear, and I had to adjust the freaking steering wheel to be a little bit higher so that my legs could swing underneath. That is a good feeling. I always like having the wheel a little bit like lower, so I'm not like reaching up here. But once especially after a solid leg day, if you get in the car and your legs run into the wheel and you gotta freaking adjust it, I mean, it's it's cool to feel big in your clothes, but when the world around you start having to accommodate in like just little ways, it's that's pretty freaking cool too. So yeah, nothing else to say there. So I'll freaking see you tomorrow.